Welcome to the Superpowers for Good show. I'm your host, Devin Thorpe, and I am thrilled to have with us today Jonny Price of Wefunder. This is going to be such an exciting conversation to talk about investment crowdfunding from someone inside the tent at the largest regulation crowdfunding portal on the planet. We're excited to have him. Help me welcome Jonny Price. Jonny, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Devin. Great to be here, man.
Well, it's a thrill for us to have you. We're excited. You have been at Wefunder for a long time now, and so you've seen the growth in at Wefunder. You've seen the growth in the industry. How does it feel to see this vision realized? Uh, like in real time, it's happening now.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun, right? I think about that a lot. I've been at WeFunder now since 2018, which is, you know, actually in the second half of WeFunder's history, right? So the company was founded back in 2012, went through Y Combinator in 2013. As you know, the regulation crowdfunding laws were rolled out by the SEC in 2016. So I'm kind of pretty late to the WeFunder party, but yeah, I have now been here for 5.5 years, since early 2018. And it's just really cool. In the day, it's always, looking at the growth charts and trying to accelerate the growth, right? As you are, and we're trying to, help more entrepreneurs and get more people angel investing in startups as quickly as possible. But if you step back and look at the kind of the trajectory over a 5-year time span, when I joined, the cap was 1.07 million. We would screw up a company's cap table by putting hundreds of people on it. We were probably doing like a couple of $100,000 of investment volume a month. We have this Slack channel at WeFunder where you see all the investments come in real time. And if there's a note from an investor, then we see what the investor note is. The best Slack channel ever created in the history of Slack. You'd wait like hours between investments happening in February of 2018, right? And then, you fast forward, we were kind of growing for a few years. And then, as you know, the March 2021 rule changes to Reg CF, where the SEC increased the cap to 5 million, allowed for SPVs to roll investors to one line in the cap table, allowed for test and orders to help companies launch and start fundraising immediately without needing to get a CPA review or audit done. So all of those things were a massive kind of catalyst to the space. In 2022, we rolled out communityround.com and the concept and the brand of a community round, which we really like that kind of framing. And then we just have more and more, really world-class startups now that are choosing to let their customers and community invest. Companies like Substack, you can see behind me, Mercury, Replit, Levels, Arrived, raising large VC-led rounds and then opening up an allocation of those rounds because they think it will delight their customers if their customers have a chance to invest in them. And there's no better way to build strong community than to let that community own a piece of your startup, even in a Series A or a Series B or whatever. And so, just to see all of those things kind of compounding together. And, I think we did $11 million of GMV last month. That's down a little on where it was at the peak in 2021. But even in the last year and a half since, the stock market, and if you look at what's happened to venture capital dollars and angel investing dollars in the last year and a half, it's massively down. And, investment volume on WeFunder is the last 3 months were actually year over year up. Year to date, we're probably flat. So for us to be flat in a market that's way down, WeFunder as a percentage of like venture capital dollars or angel dollars actually continuing to rise. So yeah, it feels to me like we're in the very, very early innings. We can talk more about that in the future, but certainly if you kind of take a long kind of time view of the trajectory and the path we've been on, the progress we've made, it's actually very, very encouraging.
It is a really exciting time. This morning, I hosted as we recorded this in October, I hosted a discussion with Woody Neese, I think of him as kind of one of the OGs of crowdfunding. He helped pass the Jobs Act, and
He's awesome.
his firm, Crowdfund Capital Advisors, recently announced that their data shows that the industry defined by regulation crowdfunding has done over 2 billion in transactions. That's pretty darn exciting.
Cool.
I'm kind of amazed by that that number, and it suggests that
I'm not, man. I'm not. That's too small time. Let's 10x that. That's let's 100x that. That's this is inning number one, as you guys say here
I
in
think
America with your baseball sport.
yeah, I think you're right. I think that we can grow this market by 100-fold. That was
Yep.
the premise of the Super Crowd Inc. Right? That the market could grow by that much. And as I've thought about it since, I think the potential in the long run is 1,000-fold. That through this means this could become such an integral part of the economy that it is the way things are normally done. Right? That people go to Wefunder as the way they get all kinds of different capital from the crowd, with institutional support coming in through the same channel. What do you think? Is that crazy to think about this becoming 1,000 times bigger than it is?
Maybe. I don't know what the I honestly don't know kind of the market size of angel investing dollars or venture capital dollars, or bank kind of dollars investing in startups, wherever kind of entrepreneurs are going for capital these days. I think I put something out on Twitter recently that showed Wefunder as a percentage of the VC dollars I was looking at. The source was Carter, I think. I think Wefunder was 0.25% or something. So that would say, certainly you can 10x that, like maybe 100x that would be, maybe doable. 1,000x would be really expanding the market in a way that, it's not necessarily impossible. If you look at like Uber, right? Certainly Uber expanded the market for taxis. And when Wefunder is a public benefit corporation in our charter, and some of the early blog posts, our CEO talks about changing the GDP growth rate of America, by basically turning millions and millions of people into angel investors who are, investing in startups and founders they believe in. And so maybe there's a way that this can expand the market. But I think if you look at like the market of early stage investing, might be more in the order of 100x than 1,000x. But certainly whatever the number is, like a much bigger number than it is today.
Yeah. Let me push on you a little bit, see if I can't make a little progress in your heart here. A lot of the market for crowdfunded deals is not, and we talked about this with Woody this morning, it's not startups, right? It's small businesses that have a less robust portfolio of capital raising options, who may legitimately find that their customer base is the best source of capital. And there are millions upon millions of these businesses across the country, most of whom are not eligible for venture capital.
Totally agree.
Could raise. What do you think? Is there a place?
I totally agree with that.
For small businesses on Wefunder?
Yes, there are. We've funded hundreds and hundreds of small businesses on Wefunder, and I totally agree with you that Main Street SMEs, as well as high growth tech startups, are a great fit to raise capital from their customers and community. I don't know that market size, so if that market size is in the trillions, then maybe we can 1,000x. But yeah, I 100% agree with you on that point. And we have debt offerings on Wefunder as well as equity offerings. Oftentimes, if you're a restaurant or a coffee shop or a brewery, it might be a better fit for you to do either a standard loan with a fixed term and a fixed interest rate, or a revenue share where you're paying investors back a multiple on the investment as a percentage of revenues. So, and there's some other great platforms as well. Honeycomb and Mainvest, I know, are kind of using regulation crowdfunding to get more capital flow into Main Street businesses as well. So, that's a huge part of the vision, both for Wefunder, I think, and this kind of concept of community investing writ large.
Yeah. We can't have this conversation without spending a little bit more time talking about Substack. We stream the show on television first, but we also share it on Substack. And
your Substack newsletter, which I subscribe to. Yeah.
Yes. Thank you very much. And I should note that I am an investor in Wefunder, and I'm thrilled to announce that you are an investor in the Super Crowd Inc. So I'm thrilled about that. That's one of the great things.
Little switcheroo there, Devin.
little switcheroo. Yeah. But isn't that great? Isn't that a great part of crowdfunding? But Substack raised $5 million in 24 hours on Wefunder. How in the holy heck did they do that? And what's the takeaway? What do other entrepreneurs learn from that? When I did my crowdfunding raise, I did not raise $5 million in 24 hours. What's the takeaway?
Do it on Wefunder. That's the main takeaway. No, just kidding. That was a joke, to be clear. I mean, honestly, I don't really think there's a secret when it comes to like running a community around. I think the secret is building an incredible company and an incredible product that has millions of users that are just so passionate about the brand of Substack and what they stand for in the world, right? Which is like kind of independent, like decentralized journalism, and writing and good writing and promoting that. And so, they built an incredible product, right? Over many, many years, and built an audience of millions of people. And so then when they sent an email to that audience saying, hey, you can invest in Substack alongside Andreessen Horowitz, and other VCs, then their writers and readers kind of jumped at the chance to do that. And so if you look at all the companies that have raised $5 million in a day on Wefunder, Mercury is another one, really awesome kind of banking stack for mostly for startups and early stage businesses. Same thing, they raised 120 million Series B in 2021, and then opened up a $5 million allocation to let their customers invest, and their customers jumped at the chance. So, if you're a coffee shop with one location opening to a second, or if you're a restaurant, or if you're, an early stage consumer packaged goods company, and you're doing, 500K in kind of annual revenue, and you have a much, much smaller audience, you're not gonna be able to raise $5 million in a day, right? Because you have a smaller audience. And so in those cases, okay, let's talk about how you're going to maximize it, because you're going to need to pull out all the stops and put in a lot of effort and, really execute on a marketing plan and come up with a great profile page and, all that good stuff. So we can get into that. But with these like explosive $5 million in a day raises, it's really, you have a product, you have a company, you have a huge audience. And for a very, very small number of companies, it's push button, raise $5 million from 5,000 fans that are now even more supercharged as brand ambassadors and loyal customers for Mercury or Substack or whoever it might be.
The list of companies that could do that is probably in the hundreds, which would be exciting to see. I mean, imagine if there were hundreds of companies that each year did a $5 million raise. That moves the needle for the industry, moves the needle for Wefunder. But at the same time, we talked about earlier, there are millions of small businesses, many of whom could use crowdfunding. So this is exciting space. It's fun talking to you. We could do this all day. We need to take a quick break though, folks. Again, I'm here with Jonny Price, Vice President at Wefunder. And when we come back, we're going to talk to Jonny about his superpowers. So you don't want to miss this. Stick around. Need money for your small business or startup? Learn how to raise capital on your own terms. Renowned attorney Jenny Casson will teach you how to fund your business without selling your soul. She'll share secrets learned over decades of fundraising. November 15th at 1 Eastern. Register today for free at thesupercrowd.com. Want to learn from the world's great change makers? Find your superpower. Subscribe to the Superpowers for Good newsletter at superpowersforgood.com. Make your strengths into superpowers that will change the world. Join the Super Crowd today. Superpowers4good.com. Join us at Supercrowd Baltimore to connect with community-focused business leaders and investors working to support diverse founders, social entrepreneurs, and community builders. Learn how to raise money from the crowd and how to invest like a pro. November 30th at the B&O Rail Museum. Register today at thesupercrowd.com. Welcome back, everyone. We're so excited today. We've got this great conversation with Jonny Price of Wefunder, and so I'm thrilled to have you back. Jonny, you and Wefunder have done amazing things, And I love that you have done this in the context of a benefit corporation with a desire to see your business help the world. That's what we're all about at the Super Crowd and at Superpowers for Good. And I really admire what you're doing. What do you see as your superpower that is enabling all of your success?
Yeah, thank you for the kind words, by the way. It means a lot coming from you and right back at you. It's just incredibly positive, uplifting, optimistic kind of content that you're creating and the kind of movement that you're building here. So thank you as well. I think that I would actually kind of echo some of those words I just used. I would say my superpower, my Slack kind of bio, which is kind of quasi cultivated and has I think been my Slack bio maybe since I joined Wefunder, is relentless positive energy. And I think that's I would say I think I have a lot of strengths, a lot more dire weaknesses. But yeah, in terms of if I was to pick one superpower, it will be that. And so I'm just like extremely optimistic and positive, like to a huge fault. Everyone's greatest strength is probably also their greatest weakness, right? So I'm kind of too naive and too rose tinted oftentimes. But my team will refer to me as Ted Lasso. So that's a photo of Ted Lasso is also my Slack photo. So I'm clearly just like articulating my superpower through Slack, through my Slack profile. But yeah, I have that kind of Ted Lasso, like, positivity and optimism. And then I think like relentless energy. I think I have a lot of grit. So I can just like be in a very, very hard situation, still find the optimistic angle, and also just like keep hustling very hard and keep grinding away for multiple years, like without any risk of burning out, which like in a startup environment and in a place where you're trying to disrupt kind of an established industry and kind of really change how businesses are raising capital and how investors are investing in startups. It is going to take a lot of patience. It's going to be a very long-term kind of thing. And so, yeah, having that kind of tenacity, resilience, like kind of relentless, like grit, I would say that's probably my biggest strength, I would say.
Well, that is that relentless positive energy. What a great superpower! What a great superpower! I'm a little jealous. I like to think I have.
You seem to have. Hey, you
energy.
seem to have that as well, man. So you
Well,
don't need to be jealous.
I aspire to that. I aspire to that, but I stumble and fall. But let's dig down. I wonder if you could share a story. Can you think of a story when you used that relentless positive energy to overcome a challenge in your life or career?
Honestly, I think like the last 5.5 years at Wefunder, right? It's like all startups are a roller coaster, especially when you're doing a hard thing, and when you're kind of disrupting an industry. And so, I've been like on a lot of phone calls with entrepreneurs, VCs, angel investors, entrepreneurial kind of ecosystem builders, people like you, like hundreds and hundreds of calls every month for 5.5 years. And I think a lot of people would just kind of get burned out by that, or it's just kind of hard, like the startup grind, right? And so, but yeah, I'm like more optimistic and positive about Wefunder and the direction we're heading in the future of this industry than I've ever been. And I feel like I have more energy now than I've ever had 5.5 years in. So I think this experience of Wefunder is probably, and like I have 3 young kids as well, so kind of like trying to bring the energy at Wefunder and also be a dad of a 7-year-old, a 5-year-old, and 3-year-old. That's been hard, with a 1-year-old, a 2-year-old. Like our youngest is now 3, so I feel like on the home front things are getting a little bit easier. But yeah, combination of the Wefunder startup and 3 children who are also startup people. That's probably the best example from my personal life the last 5 years.
That those are great challenges, and it's fun to see the great progress, and I'm sure you see it with your kids. I know I remember as my son was growing, I enjoyed him more every day as he became more and more capable, right up until high school, and we could have true, human to human connection.
Yeah.
Let's chat though. If there are a lot of people who they're like me, right? They want to have relentless positive energy. But it's hard. Sometimes things are tough, right? That's the reality. We face challenges that are difficult. How would you coach someone to find that relentless energy at those moments when it's most needed, right? When it's the biggest challenges, the most difficult moments? What do you tell people to do?
Yeah, that's a really good question that I haven't really thought of before. I do think with me, I feel like a lot of it is like, I don't know if it's like DNA, but maybe it's just like upbringing. My sister, I think, also has the same thing. So somehow my parents did something right. But yeah, I think so. For me, I don't really need to think about it. It just kind of comes naturally. Two things come to mind from a coaching perspective. I think like because the key, right, is like whatever situation you're in. I'm in a situation today. Some stuff is going on. You're in a situation today. Everyone watching is like going through some stuff, right? There's some good things in their life. There's some bad things in their life. There's some easy things. There's some hard things. Everyone like has a situation that they're in, and you can. There's one way of looking at it where it's glass half full. One way is looking at it with glass half empty. And if you're looking at it in terms of glass half empty, then you're going to have a negative energy, right? And if you can somehow see the positivity and the optimism in the glass half full, then you're going to have that positive energy, right? So that's easy to say, right? And luckily for me, I kind of see things as glass half full all the time, sometimes to a fault. But I don't know how you kind of shift that mindset. I wonder if there's something around gratitude, like, maybe a practice of journaling. I don't do this. So this is kind of abstract recommendation here. But yeah, maybe just something around like, daily practice of like journaling or kind of reflecting on what you're grateful for, the positives in your situation may help you to kind of see your world in that more positive light. The other thing, maybe a slightly more, I don't know, down to earth suggestion, maybe in a professional context, although this could probably apply in a personal situation as well. This concept of zone of genius. I heard this founder coach, Matt Mochary, on Logan Bartlett's podcast a couple of months back. I would definitely recommend listening to this content. It's one of the best hours of content I've ever heard outside of Superpowers for Good. But so Matt Mochary, this founder coach, was saying, when he talks to Brian Armstrong at Coinbase or Navar Ravikant at AngelList or he has all these like incredible like founders that he coaches, he tries to get them to focus on their zone of genius. So normally as a CEO, you think, oh, I have to go and talk to Wall Street, or I have to behave in a certain way, or spend my time doing certain things. And he tries to get them to think, what are you amazing at? What is your superpower? He frames it as zone of genius. The more time you can spend doing that thing that you love and you are incredibly good at, that will mean you're more successful in your job, which is like good for your company, and that will also mean that you're happier, and that will kind of cascade to the people around you, and will probably have a lot of kind of positive knock-on benefits. So the idea is like if there's like a bunch of different things that you could be doing in your role at work, maybe this applies at home as well. Spend more and more of your time on the ones that you love doing and you're really good at doing. And I think that will just naturally, make you happier, put you in a better frame of mind, and also, I mean, you're achieving better results as well. That's the best I've got, but it's a great question. I haven't really thought of it before. Off the top of my head, those are the two best things I've got.
Well, that's a great way to wrap up here. We've got just a few seconds before we wrap up. Why don't you take us through the best way to start at Wefunder, whether you're an investor or an entrepreneur?
Yeah, obviously we're on a mission to get millions and millions of people investing in startups they love and founders they believe in. So if you go to wefunder.com, there's a link at the top where you can just browse through startups. And if there's a cause you care about, maybe a company in your neighborhood that's raising capital, you can check them out. watch the video, read the pitch deck, and if you like what you see, you can become an angel investor in a startup for $100 in a couple of minutes and start on your angel investing journey. And yeah, if you're a founder that's looking to raise capital, we'd love to talk with you.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for being with us, Jonny. We wish you every success in the work you're doing.
Thank you, man. You too.
All righty. Let's do some good.